Okay guys, in this video, we're going over a very important feature you'll be using a lot in your day-to-day work. The Universal Remote Generation function from Xhorse. As mentioned earlier, universal remotes help reduce how much inventory you need to carry in your shop or van. Why? Because instead of stocking tons of different OEM remotes, you can use a universal remote. Generate it to match the vehicle and it will be ready for OBD programming. This saves time and money and increases your profit. Universal remotes are cheaper than OEM or even most aftermarket keys, and they can be programmed to work with many different car brands. In this example, let's say we're working on a Land Rover. We want to duplicate the remote. The first thing we need to do is install a battery inside the universal remote. To do that, press on the metal release piece, open the shell, and insert the battery. It's very simple. While we're doing that, you'll also notice the shell and structure of the universal remote look different depending on the model, just like we explained earlier. So now the battery is installed and the remote is ready to be generated. Now here's the key idea. This blank remote is a universal remote from Xhorse, and we want to generate it so that it functions just like the original Land Rover remote. This includes copying the frequency, the remote ID, and other specifications. Everything from the original remote will be written into the universal one. Sometimes you'll see the light flash, and the process might fail once or twice. That's okay, just try again. It's normal to get a success-failure cycle, especially if you pick the wrong type during the generation process. But don't worry. You can keep trying until you get it right. In this case, the original remote data has been successfully copied to the universal one, and it's now ready for programming. Earlier in the course, I showed a Toyota example where we generated and programmed a universal remote. You can find that video in the Toyota section for reference. Now, some of you might ask, how do I know which remote type to choose for a specific vehicle? The answer is simple. On your IM608, when you connect to the car and enter the IMMO section, you can check key information. It will tell you what the remote should look like, what the frequency is, and what chip or shell is needed. Once you see that info, you can match it to a compatible Xhorse Universal remote. For example, here's the XM38 remote. It's called the Toyota shape because it looks like a Toyota proximity remote, but it can actually be used for many other vehicles too. You can also use this shape for BMW. This is a BMW proximity key shell, and there's a matching universal remote available from Xhorse. You just remove the top cover, install the battery, place it into the programmer, and press generate. It's that easy. So what's the benefit of universal keys again? You don't need to stock dozens of original or aftermarket remotes. Just keep a few compatible universal remotes in your van or shop, and you can generate them on demand for multiple car models. One quick tip, for Audi, I don't recommend using Xhorse universal remotes. It's always better to use the original remote for Audi vehicles. Just something to keep in mind. As another example, let's say we already programmed this remote to a BMW, but now we want to reuse it for another car. That's totally fine. Universal remotes can be regenerated and updated as many times as needed. Let's now test this on a Toyota Camry 2018 to 2022. Even if this key was programmed for another car before, you can regenerate it and use it again. Sometimes you might get a small error. That's okay, just try again. If it still fails, double-check that nothing metal is close to the programming coil. Remove any objects that might interfere with the signal. The idea here is that you're basically downloading the software from the original key and writing it into the universal one. Once that's done, the universal remote will function like the original. When you're done, just reassemble the key, put the blade back in, and snap the shell closed. That's it. The best way to get good at this is to practice. Get some remotes, test them out, and keep training. The more you do it, the more confident you'll be, and the more successful you'll be in this business. It may feel a little complicated at first, but once you get hands-on, it starts to make sense. Every remote you complete is another skill mastered. And trust me, it gets fun. So now this remote is fully prepared. You can take your OBD programmer and use it to program this universal remote to a 2018 to 2022 Camry or any compatible car. Thanks for watching. I hope the universal remote generation concept is now clear to you.